Hi everyone, I just played a game of fetch with this little tree topper who's giving me the whale eyes in spite of the fact that he is choosing to sit on my lap. I'm uncomfortable with this interaction, but I'm going to sit on your lap because I'm a silly dog. But anyway, a lot of times force-free people ask in an antagonistic way to people who use tools, "Oh, where would you be without your shock collars and your prong collars?" And my answer to this is it depends on the dog. With this dog, you could train him very easily without tools, because he's a very handler sensitive. So you can use negative reinforcement and positive punishment to an extent, even with your voice. You tell him sternly to knock it off or stop being an asshole. And a lot of the times he will listen. In fact, it works a little bit too well on him. If he's going after the cat and I tell him to knock it off, he immediately goes and hides under the couch. He's that handler sensitive. But with other dogs that are more handler hard, more resilient to pressure, like my working line German Shepherd, that's an absolute prick, I would need tools. And here's another thing. Whether or not you can train without tools with a certain dog greatly depends on how they respond to freedom. What do I mean by that? So the vast majority of reactive dogs, which he is reactive to an extent, it's not too bad, but he can be very reactive at times. So if I take this dog and I put him on a 50-foot line or even just a flexi, the more freedom I give him, the less of an asshole he is. And if by giving a dog simply more leash or more freedom, the dog is less of a prick, then it becomes extremely easily to manage the reactivity, because all you have to do is give them more freedom and they'll be less of an asshole. So what I do when I take this little tree topper out is I put him on a long line, a 10-foot leash, and the reactivity with him is drastically less. But if he was the opposite, and in response to freedom, he acts like an asshole, then yeah, you would need some kind of device like a shock collar, for example, in order to hold him accountable. And once again, that is not to say that you hook up an e-collar and you start blasting away, but it's just there in case of emergencies, in case the dog goes flying. But in his case, I absolutely could train a dog without tools. But with my working line German Shepherd, she would live a very, very limited life. And this is what these force-free ideologues are after. They want dogs to live these absolutely atrocious lives where they have no freedom, or they want the dogs to get the blue juice. And the reality is that we are not winning the culture war, and we need to step it up. And that's my video.